2021. We are watching us today, the 27th of November 2023. So, this to the end of the year, let's to the end of the year. Well, our life and we are here as well. Well, 8 a.m. today again. I'm not alone in this morning. I was talking about Lawale. Nice to have you.
A very good morning to you, Shade. Despite that you did not give me Christmas meat, I'll still say Merry Christmas. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It promises to be an interesting edition. I am Sunday Kolawole. Good morning, everyone.
All right, just as we were saying, Merry Christmas, while we were having a joyful here in celebration and all that, it's so sad that in some parts of the country, it wasn't a Merry Christmas at all. It was a gory Christmas for them. And our heartfelt, condolences, wishes go, to the victims and the states where these dastardly acts occurred. Well, let's see what the papers have for us this morning. Yes, as we do it on the show, we take you through the newspapers' headlines. And then from there, we take a break. When we're back from that break, it will be the discussion for the day. You don't want to miss any part of the show of this morning. All right, starting with this day, right, says Murphy set to track Nigeria's real estate, solid minerals, oil, gas assets globally. And then we have this one. Incensed by Plateau Xmas Eve carnage, Tinubu orders security to go after killers. Exactly what should be done. Right as that story says, tells governors our nation's peace, stability is collective responsibility. And move to Wang. It's disheartening losing lives to senseless, unprovoked attacks. Nge, northern leaders, Khan, Abbas, Obi, Amnesty International, others mourn, condemn incident. Police put death toll at over 79. Observer says it's over 140. Doesn't really matter the statistics. I think human beings are human beings. One soul is enough to go after the people behind this. It's not enough to start trading words over if it's 79, if it's 140, if it's whatever. Well, let's hope that the president's order, is carried out to the latter, which is going after the killers.
Well, I think each time we're going into a new year, people come up with what they call New Year resolutions. I sometimes feel like it's a New Year hypocrisy for many because such resolutions don't exist that the day such is being made. But for whatever it is worth, I think the Tinubu administration must come so serious and know what it is doing. Nay, not just the Tinubu administration, all the state governors must rise to the occasion. We must think out with our federalism to be really federalism in the real sense of it, and not all of this totalitarianism in disguise that we're having. There must be a way that governors will be governors indeed, and not just paperweight chief security officers. You see, now the president has to give orders before those who are perpetrators will be pursued, will be apprehended, and all of that. It does not add up to sense. What is more, the political will that people talk about most times infuriates me, just like it infuriates many people in this country. What is political will? Why were you even voted into power? Why did you even take responsibility that you serve? You are Minister for Defense. Why did you say you are a Commissioner of Police? Why did you say you are Defense Chief or whatever it is? There must be a way to really indeed protect the lives and property of the people. Now you are talking about death toll. Some are saying 70 something, some are saying 140. It makes no sense. Sometimes ago, an American was kidnapped on the soil of Nigeria, and the American government did all it could. One American
to rescue.
did everything, entered the sovereign land of Nigeria without anybody even noticing, and then rescued its citizen from the colors of kidnappers. Up to now, we are still talking about Chibok girls. We are talking about
Students
and many others
kidnapped
like
and
that.
many others.
Then we say we are sovereign people. What exactly is sovereignty about us if we cannot protect the lives and property of our people? And then you come and then you are talking about they must fish them out. Look,
No, just as the producer said this morning, they'll be brought to book.
the book is even full already. Brought
Book.
beyond these rhetorics of we will ensure, it does not add to sense. You must be seen as doing it. That is how people will have implicit confidence and trust in your leadership. Please, enough of all of these senseless killings. Yeah, I was listening to you and you were talking about unprovoked attack. Even if an attack has been provoked, what is the meaning of this, for God's sake?
All right, just the last one on this day, newspaper for this morning. Okpeyemi Bamidele, National Assembly will pass 2024 appropriation bill Saturday. Says FG will go after economic saboteurs next year. Is another thing that needs to be handled in the economy of the country.
Who are the saboteurs?
Nosediving.
Who are the saboteurs?
A question.
Because you see, sometimes ago we were talking about crude oil theft, and then someone, a top security person in this country, was at that table, and then he said, "Look, we must be sincere. All of these things don't happen without the connivance of people who have the wherewithal to cover up." And so we just keep saying all of these things, economic saboteurs. We keep giving nomenclature to illegalities, and you see, criminals are criminals. But in Nigeria, we have different names for them. It's that they are bandits, it's that they are terrorists, it's that they are unknown gunmen known to the people giving them guns.
Yeah.
And so what are we saying? It's just really nauseating. And it's unfortunate that the ineptitude of many of this microscopic few is turning a merry moment into a sad moment for many Nigerians. And it's not just it's just sad. It's seriously sad. And I hope that 2023 is almost gone, but then a lot can still be done to rectify many of these problems if indeed these people are serious and then they want to really govern the people the way they're supposed to do. Enough of all of these rhetorics. We will do this, we will do that. Do it and let us see that you are doing it.
Okay. Let's see what's on the Nigerian Tribune. Will you take that?
The Nigerian Tribune is no different, as it's also reporting the outrage of Nigerians as death toll in Plateau reaches 160. For God's sake, 160. And 221 houses burnt.
I think that one would not be contestable. At least the houses are countable, and
it's not a tale of gloom and sadness there. Well, we've taken many of the issues on those before. Honestly, that there must be a way to recalibrate the security strategies and architecture of the Nigerian state. Now, this one away from the issue of the killing. CBN investigator again summons Lemo, two others over Union Bank acquisition. That's on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. And on page 5, Kuka is talking to Tinubu there. He says, Nigerians fast losing hope in your renewed hope agenda. I hope Ajuri Ingilale will do the right thing by ensuring that President Tinubu reads the detail of that is admonition now that we should put it, because you cannot pretend that you're not listening to what the people are saying, because sovereignty in any case is derived from the people. The legitimacy of any government is derived from the people. So President Tinubu must listen to the people, and then governors must listen to the people. There must be a way to deal with all of the problems on our hands, if not all at once, at least one by each. In Ebonyi State, it was also another tale of woe. 3 worshippers were killed gruesomely. They're just finishing Christmas carol, and then these mindless criminals just opened fire on them and killed 3 of them, injuring many of them. In Edo State, cultists on the prowl killed a broadcaster, and it's not adding to sense, honestly. Now, on page 17, 2023 polls and the okay, I think that's a feature there. Check. Let's move to 5. It resumes plenary Saturday to pass 2024 budget. Then NAV hits 6 illegal oil refinery sites in Rivers on page 28. Illegal oil refinery site.
Oh, you know what? While everyone is joyous over the takeoff of the Port Harcourt refinery, but how will the refinery actually progress and serve the people if we keep having all these illegal refineries and all that?
You see, one thing I think the handlers of the economy should ask themselves, or be sincere enough to answer, is the question as to why is it easier for these illegal refiners to refine,
operate.
but those who are legal are finding it difficult to do? Are you getting my point?
Maybe.
So why not coordinate these elements and turn the illegality into something better? Use them to the advantage of the national economy, and not that they are sabotaging.
There might be some things that the illegal ones are not doing right. They're concerned. You talk about adulterated oil in the market, and probably these are the sources of the adulteration. So they don't really know what it takes to refine.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. So those who have the wherewithal cannot correct the lapses that might be there, which will just be infinitesimal, and then be able to then say, okay, on a larger scale, let's empower these people. They're contributing back to the economy. I do not know what exactly is wrong with us as a people. If these people have the skill to do this, let's engage them and say, look,
Or probably
you
give them the
cannot
proper training.
give them the proper training,
yes,
and then they'll be able to contribute to national economy. Now, is it because they cannot access the billions of dollars that those who will not be mentioning their names will easily access? And then up to now, how many barrels of oil have been refined in the refinery that I don't want to mention? So you see, we must be able to really look at how to harness all of these resources, those that are formal and informal, because no economy, I repeat, no economy can grow without the informal sector getting developed. So we must be able to do all of this to get everyone on board to develop the economy. Not that we just be talking about all of this and then we see they're saboteurs. Today we give them that name, tomorrow we give them another name.
Yeah, but they're saboteurs actually, and they have to stop illegal refineries.
Okay, all the best, all the best. Tinubu hosts governors in Lagos, hails Fubara on commitment to peace in Rivers. Well, this issue also came to the fore of discussion yesterday in Nefalai, and then somebody was telling me that, look, um, apologies that okay, don't let me even mention the expression the person used because of the season we're in. The person said, you see, when Obasanjo was the president, Ota became the Nigerian version of
You say
Holy Land.
the annex of Osrc.
Maybe not just annex, because if it's just the annex, the president will be perpetually there attending to official things. But look, it's a question of pomp and ceremony. They go there and then they do what Yoruba will call Kekpe Baba, and all of these things. Now, at the expense of who? Taxpayers' money. The governors will go with long convoy again, and then what are they going there to do? They want to go and say Merry Christmas that they cannot do on phone. At the time you are telling Nigerians to sacrifice, and then all of them will go there and then they are doing whatever it is they are doing, and the attention shifted to Dara. If you remember,
Yes, during
the
Salah,
Buhari administration, you see they said this one is happening there, another one is happening there. All of them gravitate towards the place. Now the
It's
new
Lagos.
Holy Land is Lagos for the Nigerian states. They now go there, and then Bodilon is playing host to them and all of that. I don't understand. Why can't these people also do Christmas and the festive season with their own people in their own state?
But it's just a visit.
It's just a visit.
Yes, to say, Merry
How many
Christmas, see
vehicles
your
are
boss.
put? How many vehicles are put on the road? I didn't mean it's just these governors that will say, okay, I'm going solo, and then they go pay. In many other places, there are things we call private visits. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I don't know why we should just keep glorifying superfluity of naughtiness and then we are just doing things as if all is well. When even indeed we all know it's staring us in the face. A bag of rice is sold for how much now? 60,000 naira in certain places. Yeah. And how many people can even afford this? Things are not right. Let's be factual. And if these things will be corrected, it must start from those who have them, who bear the rule, who can do the needful in correcting these abnormalities, not still festering the abnormalities.
Is it an abnormality to pay your boss a visit during festive seasons to
There's a meeting they call National Economic Council. All of these governors go there. They see the president there. There is this they call Federal Executive Council meeting. Ministers and all of them, they go there. There are other meetings where they meet. What is so special
and but also
about
those
this?
are official, just to get to know, meet and greet, family interaction from them.
One
My
day,
daughter sees your
may
son
Nigeria
and
get
things
serious.
like that.
That's just the point.
Okay.
I hope one day Nigeria will get serious.
Let's move on Sunday. From the Nigerian Tribune, let's check what is on the New Telegraph. On the New Telegraph, yes, still the story of the, call it massacre now. Yes, Muftwang. Terrorists occupying 64 plateau communities in schools. What? Terrorists occupying 64 communities. How come? Okay, as death tolls rises, Tinubu condemns killings, orders corporates arrest, other military commands, and a relocation to plateau. Can tells president. Then CUPP demands true federalism and state police. I guess that discussion is going to take center stage again. Well, you want to read more on that story, you check pages 2, 3, 4, 27, and 28 of the New Telegraph for details on that story. Federal government will soon clamp down on economic saboteurs. Okay, we've said that before. That's according to Bamidele. Says insists subsidy removal in interest of Nigerians. Says NAS will pass 2024 budget, appropriation bill on December 30 to retain January to December budget cycle. Check details of that on page 2 of the New Telegraph. And this one, fact, increased VAT exchange rate difference push November revenue to 1.783 trillion naira to be shared among federal government, states, and local governments. Check details of that on page 5 of the New Telegraph. And still on the New Telegraph, we have the story: police supervisors liable for extortion of citizens. That's according to the IGP. You see these on pages 5 and 6 of the New Telegraph. And still on the New Telegraph, Pope didn't approve same-sex marriage, says Kigama. Okay, what did the Pope approve? Right, you want to know? Check pages 2 and 3 of the New Telegraph. I know most Nigerians want to know really what is the correct thing, said by the Pope, or what that message actually means. Talking about this same-sex marriage blessing or blessing. What's the difference? Well, check pages 2 and 3 of the New Telegraph for this morning. Edo 2024, Obaseki Soibu face off deepens. Okay, as deputy governor and governor's office gets 300 million allocation, and governor 19 billion naira. Check page 7 of the New Telegraph for details of that. Supreme Court, APC raises the alarm over alleged plan by Kano government to spend 8 billion naira local government's funds. Check page 5 of the New Telegraph for details of that story. And lastly, on the New Telegraph this morning, we have this one. Okay. Tinubu to governors. Develop peace must be our joint responsibility. Development peace must be our joint responsibilities. You find that on page 4 of the New Telegraph. And that will be it from the New Telegraph this morning.
All right, now let's check the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. The Blueprint also has many of the stories we've been able to take. Why Tinubu must lift sanctions on Nigeria Republic. That's coming from Ndume. And then you also find this one. Okay, we'll take. Okay, that's a commercial story, so it won't be going there. 50,000 troops involved in counterterrorism nationwide. That's coming from Lagbaja. Assures improved security in 25 years. We want to take that to the bank. Let's move to the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper also has some stories that we need to check out. 300 Nigerians killed in foreign lands. Blood cries endless for justice. 25 killed in Rivers illegal refinery explosion. That's terrible. FG plans fresh regulations. All right. It's talking about this online banking thing. Okay, National Assembly reconvenes Friday to pass budget December 30. That's page 29. Then page 23, Nigeria's diaspora remittances will exceed $20 billion in 2023. That's coming from World Bank. President Tinubu meets governors, seeks stronger FG states collaboration. Okay, page 28, Nigerians would want to know the type of collaboration, the stronger collaboration that President Tinubu wants from states, because currently states still go hand in cap, or be cap in hand, whichever one we want to call it now, to Abuja to get what they celebrate as monthly allocation. And if there is going to be effective collaboration, states must also be able to develop the resources on their own land. They must be able to have a whole lot. You see, there must be a way to tinker with the kind of federalism we're operating. That's when you can be talking about effective collaboration, where the states will now be saying, yes, out of the abundance that we have, we are now saying we are contributing this to the center. But when it is the center that will take all and then dish out peanuts to the federating unit, it's really not adding up to sense, and I just hope that that will change. But will that really change without a constitutional amendment? Will that really change without the implementation of the various recommendations that have come up from various engagements, such as the National Conference and some other committees set up, and then they came up with similar recommendations? I think the needful must be done.
All right, let's hope that the needful must be done. Right away from that, let's check the nation for this morning on what the nation is saying. All right, it's no different story, as we also have Mr. President ordering for the security agents to fish out killers of the plateau victims here. All right, let's see something different, if there's something different on the nation. Okay, President, governors, senators, okay, that's an advert, let me leave that. Okay, Akume, okay, turns 70. All right, APC, PDP fix January 6 and 8 for by-election primaries. All right, nomination forms on. You see this on page 3 of the Nation newspaper for this morning. Minister urges cash transfer beneficiaries to invest. How much was transferred? And what's going to be invested? Or isn't it the 25,000? What other thing was transferred, please? Okay, if you benefited in some kind of transfer, please invest if it's investable. All right, but nothing is too small
I don't
to
really
invest.
understand. You see, Yorubas are very rich people when it comes to culture, tradition, and these wise sayings. Apologies. They say, "Ebi painu, oloshen polo, miti we, you know, onikin wede." Meaning that I've not eaten. You're advertising soap to me. I'm not taking care of my belly.
Inside,
You're
yeah.
talking about taking care of my clothes. So
How do you even have strength to wash your clothes when
that's the
you're not
point.
eating?
So I don't know what sort of investment you want from such. In any case, 35,000 naira. It cannot fill the tank of many people anymore. That is just a fact. In fact, not many people. I'm not sure it can fill any tank anymore. At what rate? 600 and something naira per liter. When indeed the government says it is not that much officially, but that's what we are buying, and so you expect investment from that.
You want to know what the investment is? Maybe there'll be suggestions on what kind of investments we can make with that, with that cash transfer. Check page 3 of the Nation.
Let everybody make the needed sacrifice, both the governed and the government.
So, yes, and so saboteurs frustrating government's efforts to rebuild economy. All right, you find the details of that on page 3 as well. Okay, we've read this also in some other dailies. President hails Fubara's commitment to peace. All eyes on governor, speaker to implement resolutions. Well, I like the way Fubara puts it, that the resolution afterward, it's not a death sentence, and so he was going to follow through. So let's hope there will be peace henceforth in Rivers State, and to the best interest of the citizens and not just the gladiators and that's ruffle. All right, that will be all from the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, the Daily Sun has this power struggle in PDP intensifies. Atiku's men, new generation members fight for control. Supreme Court cases stall search for Ayu's replacement. Opposition party may hold mini convention in February. That's what you find there. Terrible one here. 6 died, 65 injured in Boxing Day auto accidents in Lagos, Kaduna. Police confirm rise in killings. Death of inspector in Edo court clashes. That's on page 26. I do hope that proper investigation will be done in that Edo case, because how can you arrest a cultist and then a police officer will just pull up its gun and then kill his colleague who arrested the cultist, and then the cultist escapes and the police officer also runs away? I don't know. The story is not clear. There must be a way to really investigate.
Sometimes you look at this African twist to.
It's a terrible twist.
Yes, that can't be explained.
A terrible twist.
And it's not tenable even in the court of law. So.
All right, I think that does it
yes.
on this level 2. So
all right, that will be all from the newspapers headlines for this morning. We take a break now, and when we are back, it will be time to discuss some issues in retrospect. Yes, 2023, let's view it again. Some notable events that occurred in the course of the year. You don't want to miss, stick to your TV.
I had promised to reform the economy for the long-term good by fighting major imbalances that has plagued our economy. Ending the subsidy and the preferential exchange rate system were key to this fight. This fight is to define the fate and future of our nation. Much is imbalanced. Thus, the fact in our economy immensely profited a tiny elite, the elite of the elite, you might call them, as we move to fight the flaws in the economy. The people who grow rich from them predictably will fight back through every means necessary. But we are ready. Our economy is going through a tough patch and you are being hurt by it, I know. The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses are struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there is not. If there were, I would have taken that route, as I came here to help, not to hurt the people and the nation that I love so dearly. What I can offer in the immediate is to reduce the burden of current economic situation, which has imposed on all of us, most especially on businesses, the working class, and most vulnerable among us. Already, the federal government is working closely with states and local governments to implement interventions that will cushion the pains of our people across socio-economic brackets.
A.m. today, this morning. And just as we promised you before we went from that break, that when we come back, it's going to be time to look at some salient issues that happened in the course of the year. In retrospect, to discuss this with us this morning is someone that you're familiar with, the face you're familiar with on the show. And that's talking of no other person than Mr. Tayo Moses Adu. Is a social commentator and a journalist. It's nice to have you again in the studios with us.
Compliment of the
And to you too. Right, the year 2023 for Nigerians has been a kind of roller coaster, bumpy in some places, hilly, the valleys and the highs and the lows as we, traverse through the year. We started a new government, as in the new regime, began the year 2023 too. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Some elections were held and all that. Some policies, were made in this year 2023. Let me start by saying, let's the administration of President Ahmed for those very significant and that happened in the course of the year. Looking at the administration, so what would you?
Would I say than to say it was an historical turnaround and starting point in the history of Nigeria. Looking back to January this year, February, after the election, then the letter writing, the United Nations, the American, letter, and all that, preceding the handover, and the fake, now I can say, fake prophecy. Oh, someone will not be, not take, someone one day, but the person was arrested before the, the handover or at the venue of the handover, or somebody said he was going to die. But we saw God putting an end to the, the false, so-called those who are led with their belly and who claims to be, who are dressed in cassock, like men of God. So we actually, it's afforded us the year to really be able to identify those of the leadership of, Christian, association organizations in this country who are actually genuine, and those who are, who are political motivators also, were able to, to decipher all this. And it was an opportunity for us, to have, a smooth, transition that took place in an unsteady, economy. Don't forget the fact that there was this crisis of, the scarcity of cash, the redenomination, the reprinting of our currency, of course, it spilled over, till that time, the effect and which we are still even contending with. But looking at, as the government came on board, what they have been able to, to achieve within this very short, turbulent period. Today, BTO has become, a positive reference in committee of, discourse in this, in this country. Why? Because somebody somewhere was able to identify a BTO, and gave him a responsibility, and the guy had actually succeeded in writing his name, in gold, in terms of transforming, where he has been sent to go and work. Not just, the place is no longer known for a ministry that is, saddled with the responsibility of announcing public holidays. You understand? And today, about our international passport, when you take up your international passport at any of the immigration office today in this country, that it is not business, as usual. Something happened at Idiroko recently. Questions are being asked. So situations, are improving. And for example, I am happy because during the course of the, some months backward, we were discussing the issue of the remember the president, the commander-in-chief said something that refinery, Port Harcourt refinery will start working. Of course, engaged severally that, political, statement. I said, if you know the caliber and the person of President, Tinubu, is not the kind of person that will go on here, that will go public and say what he has not meant. Okay. You understand? He is not that kind of a person. That there must have been proper, examination, report, monitoring for him to have been able to say Port Harcourt refinery is going to function. And today, we are all living testimonies that Port Harcourt refinery is back on track, which has been away for more than 15, 18 years in this country.
One thing we must not lose sight of is the genesis of every administration. A lot of promises were made in 2015. Very many of them also were repeated in 2019 under the auspices of consolidation. Now, all of those they seem to be things of the past. Now, a new dispensation, it's called a dispensation of renewed hope by the president, the incumbent, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Just yesterday, as reported in the dailies today, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka was saying, look, Nigerians are losing hope in your renewed hope agenda for the country. Now, isn't that a clarion call to make the renewed hope really hopeful for the people with all of the economic indices we're finding on our hands? Can you really say that we're moving ahead on the ladder of improvement, or are we still static?
I'm bold to say that we are moving, forward. The pace at which you are moving. You see, when you find yourself in a new location, your ability to settle down and begin to stabilize, things makes you, a visionary, and of course an experienced administrator. What I just made reference to. I'm happy you talking. When I was invited for this, this program, I was instructed that it's going to be, retrospect of 2023, not of 2015, not of 2019. But nevertheless, I am not. Of course, I have a response for whatever you're saying as regards 2015. When the election was to take place in 2015, but I met Tinubu, was here as one of the chieftain of the party to campaign, of course, for for the party in this. But immediately the government, was formed. Don't forget that it was not so of the cabal, nice cabal, the president that and President Buhari, and because of a person who is as a visionary, a man who is patient, a man who has track record, he kept quiet and he kept cool, and remember, he wrote a letter even to his own party, leadership at the national level at that point, at a point as regards the economy of the country. So you can't hold him, back into a time back into 2019 or 2015. We're talking, 2023. Since he came on board, situation, and there's something you will not.
Mr. Thayadu, just a moment. You agree with me that during every election, when a new sheriff is brought to town, people expect new lease of life. People expect better deal. Isn't that the case?
It's still the same question you're asking me.
The major thing that you will also agree with me is more important to anyone, whether you're in government or out of government, is security of life and property. Just yesterday, the news everywhere, many lives were lost in Plateau State. You also find the same thing happening in Abakaliki. 3 worshippers were killed in the church. Now, all of these are bringing to remembrance the horrible states. Okay. In those states also, you have all of that. That's why I'm asking you if we are really having the new list of.
I am still telling you, Mr. Sunday, that I'm bold to say that we're moving forward. It might not be at your pace. It might not be at the expected pace. But I want to remind you, even in the United States, where they say, where it is believed that there is perfect security, there's nowhere in the world. Even in the United States today, you see people today in this, particular street. Somebody is killing 17 people. Somebody is killing, 3 people here. Somebody, 22 people have been. Even in United States, where we call God's own country, these people who have been organized in terms of, in terms of policy, policies of, that runs over, a century. You understand? You are comparing, even if you want to compare with this place, you know what is happening in the Middle East, but here in this country, the security situation has not. There was a time in this country when there were more than 17 local governments under the leadership of Boko Haram in this country. But today it's no longer, and we are not yet there. But don't let us run down, our country. We are moving forward. We are, of course, that we are even at peace today is still, a credit. And today, a government, we are analyzing a government that has not spent 12 months. Let's spend several, decades that we met,
But the thing is that, sorry, please, even just this morning, we heard about a number of communities in Plateau State. I think
it's
about
not 17. This morning. Yeah, it's not this morning. It's been a news. You see now, it's been a news of about 3 days.
So what is
that is re-echoing. You see, I want to share, an experience of a discussion I had with, a friend that resides in US. He told me he was coming into the country, before he took off from US, from New York City. And I asked him, I said, oh, how you getting to Akure? Will you be flying from Lagos or Abuja? He said, no, it's, from Lagos, he'll be driving down that, he had a car, that he had access to a car in Lagos, that he's going to be driving from, that place. And I said, you're not even scared of this kidnapping story and all that. He said, I should forget about that. There is a Nigerian, he's a typical, Nigerian that is aware that some of these things is over bloated. is over-reported. That when positive happens, people don't report it. We don't celebrate. We don't amplify it. But when it is negative, he said between Ore, Ijebu-Ode, Lagos axis, he said there could be a case of kidnap. But the way to be reported is as if it is happening in every kilometer, or that is happening, on regular basis. So that he's not scared. He's going to be driving, and he drove from Lagos to Akure when he came, and he drove himself back. That's an American citizen. You understand, who originates from this state. So what I'm saying is, we are, of course, you and I know that we have security challenges, but we are moving forward.
Exactly,
we are moving away from,
let's get something clear. We're not saying that things aren't working in certain climes. We're not saying that things aren't improving in certain climes. But when your brothers and sisters are being massacred by mindless terrorists and criminals, do we keep quiet about that because things are not the same the way they used to be?
Are you
That's
aware?
what I'm asking you. Just a moment. That's why I'm putting it to you that there is need to recalibrate the security architecture and strategy.
It is being
and
done.
Very many people are talking about that.
It is being done.
So it's not a case of running down any government.
No, don't forget the fact that the people who have been displayed, the people who sponsored, letter writing to American government, to discredit, the people who write letters to discredit the candidate, the government of their own country, on false, accusations, on insinuations, on assumptions, you understand, on their self-made desire, could of course be responsible for sponsoring. They won't want peace in this country. They won't want things to go normally.
Where
they
are
want
you pointing your
I'm pointing accusing fingers to those people who were bent.
Who are these people?
Who were bent on pulling down this country. Those who will not recognize the government that has been duly elected, sworn in, and declared affirmed by the court of the competent court of jurisdiction in this country.
How does that hinder the president, nay, the entire administration, from going ahead to do more in improving the lot of the people?
What the president met on ground is not what it is today. I'm saying there is an improvement. Yes, we're not yet there. Mm-hmm. The president has not said, "Oh, we have solved all the problem." He just came about some months ago. So it's not just even 12 months here. So if you want to assess a student, you must have spent a year in that particular class before you can say, "Yeah." Even this government has not even spent up 1 year, and of course, let us appreciate the little impact effort, knowing the mentality of even some of the people in this country already before this administration came on board.
The thing is, to whom much is given,
much is expected.
Yes, Nigerians actually looked forward to the February elections, the February and March elections, and especially with the tag renewed hope, and all that. Now let's look at the election itself. How well did the election go? Are we progressing in our electoral processes, the electoral law, and the whole electioneering process, as it were? Did Nigerians participated, in an encouraging manner, the campaigns and all that? Let's take a look at the elections. What's your take on the election?
I'm of the opinion that the election of Nigeria is, of course, improving gradually. We are getting there. You see, our problem is we want to, we are quick to compare, the developed nation in terms of things done here. But we are slow in comparing the attitude of the citizenry when it comes to, the attitude of, the same Nigerian is driving his car here that is finding difficult to even use his seatbelt that is meant to protect his own life. When he gets to Ghana, when he gets to UK, you understand, because of fear of prison, or fines. I get it, because of the harsh, economic situation before you can realize those funds over there. You understand, and no shortcut, or shortcut is difficult. You understand. You see that same person, obeying that simple traffic, law. But in Nigeria, it is not. It is not. They have to, impress and arrest. Some people even end up beating up, law enforcement, officers.
There are quite a number of instances this year, actually.
Yes, in this country. So you see, when you're looking at issues, you have to really balance things up. In terms of election in this country, there have been elections where oppositions had won in this country. You understand? So to me, the election is improving. And look at Rivers, for example. PDP won, in Rivers State. You understand? So if you look at it, of course, APC won in Kogi. That the president is a president does not mean if his party is popular in a particular place, they could not win election. But look at the presidential election itself. Is of interest to me. One or two people claimed to have won this election, and they were going to pull down the roof of the house, because they were not declared the president of the country. They said they won this election. They said they have record, they have fact to back it up. They went to court, which is expected in a civilized, community. Do you know when they got to court, they jettisoned the fact that they won the election because they did not come out with tabulated, result where they won and where INEC falsified. So to now bring out the discrepancies and say, oh, I led by 120,000 here. They said I lost by 70,000. I was leading here until they brought, the miraculous report or result from so local government. That was not done in the court. All we saw was that somebody did not, the president did not attend the university, he should be disqualified. The president, had dual citizenship, he should be disqualified. They were now looking for disqualification, even at the Supreme Court. And thank God those people, the law did not make them, Father Christmas. You didn't argue. You didn't tell us that in Erikpa local government in Osun that you won in that local government. They declared this was the report sheet that a results sheet that your party agents signed. They mutilated the signature. They will now put in that this was not done. And even the Labour Party presidential candidate, they went there, they failed woefully.
So were you satisfied by the tribunal precedents?
Of course, yes. Why wouldn't I be satisfied? Even despite intimidation, that's where I had to commend the men that took to the oath that they swore, for them to have been able to uphold the temple of justice. Of course, I commend them because they went to mount up billboard to intimidate the judiciary to make sure. Cases are not won on the pages of newspaper. They are not won on Facebook, on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. They are not won there. On Instagram, elections are won with strategy. The present president of Nigeria has been, preparing for that position for more than 20 years. He didn't just start. So when he started consultation, that's why it was easy for him to get to Castina and get his people, get to Kano and get his people, every part of the country, because he has reached out to them long, before
Mr.
now.
Tayo, I need to ask you a question, and Nigerians would need to really know where you stand in this matter. Are you saying it's all tales of jolly ride and all for the present administration? What are the areas you feel the president, nay, the Tinubu administration, must recalibrate its mechanism and strategies to ensure that Nigeria gets a better deal? We're going into 2024. Just a moment. The 2024 appropriation bill is currently before the National Assembly. And when you look at the spell out of the appropriation bill, you find what is going into this, what is going into the health sector, education and all, and there are already many concerns. What do you think should be done better than it is currently?
You see, I am a realist, and I don't talk about things I don't have, enough information on, so that I won't be misinforming the public. A government that came up less than 10 months ago, and you expect me to come here on here and begin to talk about recalibration.
If you are given 20 million naira today, Mr. Tayo, just a moment. If you are given 20 million naira today, should we wait for 1 year before we see you use that money properly?
In accounting, there is what we call, reportage, reporting sheets. You don't ask questions when those sheets have not been submitted. And what you are asking me, the budget that is before the National Assembly that is yet to be passed, or that they are working on, at the moment. I am aware a section of the media reported that they want to, they have amassed so or allocated so amount of billion to the office of the chief of staff of the president. You understand? And its accommodation and all that. But it has been refuted.
I'm not concerned about that.
Hold on, I'm only citing
what I'm asking
one of the things that that have been
key
reported.
sectors,
So
the key
the key sector
sectors
is
of
it
human life.
is it what has been put the economy the educational quota has been increased, tremendously. Are you saying that is not a good one sector before you begin to see the influence and all these things, at times even take legislation.
All right.
Then to get back to the National Assembly.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Adu. One other thing that happened this year that Nigerians, even a child, would not forget. I think any child like 2 years or 3 may not likely forget about the year 2023 is the vocabulary of the fuel subsidy removal, and the attendant effect on the economy. And the World Bank and some international observers have alleged that, in a way, the Nigerian government is still subsidizing fuel for the citizens and all that. So, if the market forces is to keep determining, the price of fuel, in the Nigerian market, do you think the citizens would be able to cope? Or let me put it this way: do you support that the government, keeps subsidizing in a way?
Well, when you say in a way,
yes, because we are not clear about it.
Hold on.
So
if you say in a way, now what you're not clear about, you're asking me a question, putting a question, across to me on what you're not even clear about. But the point is this, if you talked about the petroleum industry, one achievement has been made. The refinery of Port Harcourt has started, functioning. I getting it. Not looking at either the negatives or how the process of, Dangote refinery, are you getting it? There is, a refinery in the east, that is, getting started. Are you getting it? So which means by the time, the 2 or 3 other federal government, own refineries, begin to work, then we can now look at the effect of, this policy. Because, of course, when they say, oh, subsidy is removal, don't forget that I'm not getting my food, the economic situation of the, of the country. But you don't, as a woman who is just, getting married, you must be prepared that it will take the next 9 months for you to have, to be able to conceive before you can be called a mother. And during the process of your, pregnancy, automatically your body system, will not be the same. And immediately there is delivery, a safe delivery, safe arrival of that baby, or forget about the pains, that you have gone through in the past 9 months. So that's a process I see, that is taking place in any ideal, environment where you don't have a miracle worker in charge of administration. And I have searched around in the world. I have not seen a country where, their president or prime minister, is that of a miracle worker. So it takes time for things, to fall in. My expectation is high.
In their own, at their own end, we are not seeing their own.
Of course, my expectation is very high because the man who is in charge today had a positive reference point for every citizen of this country. You are proud to associate with the sources of Lagos.
How palliative are these palliative measures of the current administration? When you're talking about making moves to get refineries working, removal of fuel subsidy, you find some other economic indices getting escalated, inflation is on the high, and all of that. Then comes this issue of palliative. How palliative? You might not need to ask me that.
No.
You might not need to ask me that, but please answer. How palliative are these palliative measures?
Well, I was privileged to be in the National Assembly in the past 4 weeks, or 5 weeks thereabout, and I saw the House of Reps. I saw them, deliberating. And at the end of the day, I am aware some Nigerians are getting, as much as 500,000 naira as, palliative. And I think for a serious-minded individual with 500,000 naira, some 25,000, I have not gotten, any. So don't feel, But the point is, because you are privileged, you understand, you are privileged. You are part of the privileged, as citizens of this country, of this state. You may not really appreciate those little funds that comes out, as palliative. Do you know with 25,000, what it will amount to? But for you and I, we might not really, be appreciating it. But I know there are so many homes that this Christmas, probably because of the harsh economy that you're making reference to, some people are not have been able to eat, a grain of rice. but were, gifted by the presidential, palliative, committees that, are segmented in different states, of the federation. And just lately, we heard of the Minister of Interior, John, of course, I've started everywhere, but of course, some people are already benefiting from it, and I'm aware those that are paid maybe the second trenches. If not, I'm aware of the first trench, trench of the 34. Is it 34? Palliative. So, are you saying for the civil servant who receive 34,000, 35,000, in some state they even went ahead and say Christmas bonus 100,000, for their workers? So, palliatives are coming and it's ongoing, and people are feeling, the effect, and people are happy, about it. Even
the different civil service, the unions and all that, giving them a better welfare.
Don't forget the fact that there was city, university people, and the present chief of staff to the president had to step in when Dr. Chris, so as to make sure there is industrial harmony. The government has not been, has not, some government had looked away, not caring about the welfare of the people. But this government has not done that. If you look at the situation with this administration, Lusa, a presidential